I'm Jukti. I've been in World Mission Society Church of God for 13 years, and I was based in Cairns, Australia. Previously, I was based in Melbourne for 9 years and then Cairns for 4 years.
My name's Tara. I was in the World Mission Society Church of God for 8 years, and I was also in Cairns for most of that time. We did go to Nepal for a couple of years. It sounded really beautiful. So I was on a roller coaster all
Yeah.
downhill.
Yeah.
I was just all in so quickly. So there was probably red flags that I could see, such as, just the peculiarness of the whole experience. But I was very naive. Like, I was at that age, at that time, I was incredibly naive, just kind of innocent and open-minded. So I didn't see the weirdness as weirdness. I just saw it as part of the beauty of the experience. Sometimes I remember preaching during a feast once, and I was so sleep deprived that my nose started bleeding while I was preaching. And I think the overseer might have said to me, I was preaching with the overseer, and I think he might have said to me, like, do you need to stop? Like, do you need to go and have a rest? And I was like, no, we should keep going. And he praised me for that. I specifically remember him praising me for that, which is really silly.
Yeah.
Again, a person who's in a position of influence needs to take care of the people that they have a duty of care to take care of. My boss would say to me, I'm really worried about you. You look really pale. Are you sure you're okay? Like, every time you've come into work, you're really pale. I don't think you're okay. And it was during the feast. I was coming into work at 7 a.m. after 5 a.m. worship services, going preaching after work. I had to start changing my makeup because
Yeah.
I had to hide my illness.
Trying to follow these scriptures, now the reaper's all on my back. Now it's suspect with these preachers. Wonder why they teach what they teaching. You claim that you have truth, but ain't practicing what you preaching. Come around calling me bro. When I needed you, you went ghost. Don't try to get too close, or you just might get exposed. That World Mission Society.
Hey everybody, my name is Edgar. I'd like to welcome all of you back to another episode of Defusing the WMSCOG. And today we got another ex-member from the World Mission Society, but it's actually a couple. There's going to be a joint interview, and it's pretty cool because they are from another neck of the woods, all the way in Australia. We have Jukti and Tara. And without further ado, I'm going to allow you guys to introduce yourself.
Hi Edgar, I'm Jukti. I've been in World Mission Society Church of God for 13 years, and I was based in Cairns, Australia. Previously, I was based in Melbourne for 9 years and then Cairns for 4 years. Yeah.
Okay.
My name's Tara. I was in the World Mission Society Church of God for 8 years, and I was also in Cairns for most of that time. We did go to Nepal for a couple of years as
Okay.
well.
All right. Well, I'm excited to do this. Let me just go ahead and ask the first question. How did you guys get introduced to the World Mission Society? Now, I know this might be, different for the both of you, but whoever would like
Yeah.
to start first, just how did you guys get introduced to the World Mission Society?
Okay, I'll go first then. Well, in my case, I was very new to Australia. I came to Australia 2009, and I was living, sharing a house with some people that I knew. So among the people, the colleagues that I knew, there was a one female friend who was previously a Christian, but she, came to become a member of World Mission Society Church of God. So she kind of, here and there used to tell me like, she used to go to church and Passover and all those kind of, I would say kind of nagging here and there, come to visit her church. So that's how not that I was very interested, but because of her continuous, requesting me to visit the church, in my mindset, I was like, okay, well, just go and just visit, and then it's all done. That's how I ended up going to the church and one of the days off, I think it was on Sunday. So that's my story of, entering the WMSCOG.
Okay.
Yeah. And
For me, I was preached door to door. And at the time, I was really deeply searching for a church, actually. I had been visiting a number of different churches. I had been reading the Bible a lot. I was really searching very deeply spiritually. I had explored like a lot of different religions up until that point, and I kind of decided that I wanted to start going to church. And I really couldn't find a place where I felt um, the loving community that I was looking for. And when they were Korean long-term preachers who had come over, and there was a young girl and a young boy, and they told me, they asked me if I had ever heard about the female image of God. And I said, yeah, sure. Like I was a bit of a new age hippie type. So female God was like no problem for me. But they said in the Bible, and that really piqued my interest. So I was super intrigued by that.
Yeah.
And they just continued to come and do Bible studies with me. They believed in Sabbath day, and that was again very interesting to me because I had heard that the Sabbath day was Saturday, and it just kind of made sense to me. So I felt like this place was going to give me a lot of the spiritual information that I was really looking for.
Yeah.
And of course, there was the love bombing, which really made me feel like that loving community that I was looking for was right here. The church was just up the road from my house. It was a house church. And I fell into it pretty quickly. It was only a few months, I think, before I started keeping like most of the services.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it seems like I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying that regarding me, like before I was introduced to the WMSCOG, my background was I was from a Buddhist family, so I had no idea anything about the Bible. So yeah, that was my kind of situation.
And you were a
Yeah.
science student.
Yeah,
They got you with the science.
yeah, all those stuff.
Bible is fact.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
Mhm.
that's interesting because you guys have pretty interesting dynamics. So, come from a Buddhist background and then you're
Yeah,
studying science, right? You were kind of pressured into the whole thing, but I can see how having that type of background and you being interested in science, and then it just so
yeah,
happens that this cult has a tailor-made, a
yeah,
sermon for people that are interested in stuff like that. So
exactly.
it's almost, so it's the perfect storm. And then in your case, you were into new age and all those things. So, the
Mm.
idea of a female god doesn't seem too far off, but they knew exactly where to go with you. Like, yeah, okay, but it's in the Bible, so that piques your interest. And then it's,
Yeah.
it's off to the races from there. So it's kind of like it's always the same scenario, but in different angles. It's like somehow, some way, this church creates the perfect storm for they find things that will attract the members, and then
Yeah.
it's all downhill from there. The indoctrination process begins. So, take me through that, and maybe it's kind of cool to have both of you on at the same time telling me, your stories, side by side, because I want to see, like, is there any differences? So like, for instance, when you guys first got baptized, what was your reactions? What did you guys see? Did you guys pick up on any red flags, or were you guys just happy to be there at first?
Well, in my case, I would say that, I was very new to this country, and I was very, because I was missing back my family back home. Nobody was here. Yeah, not that I knew any people, but when I come to contact with, WMSCOG, and when visited the church, I felt, I was kind of family vibe. I didn't felt like it was like I was introduced to a church, because it was I was baptized in a house church as well, and feeling like a homesick and missing friends and family, kind of, that vulnerable states. I guess that situation made me susceptible to where, I was into the WMSCOG. So I visited and I was baptized on the same day. I didn't understand much of the Bible, but I do remember vaguely about the Passover and, the forgiveness of sins. That topic got me as well, because I had questions like why I'm here, and what is my reason, and all those questions I used to have previously, but all those were answered. So although there wasn't like 100% understanding, but there was some kind of understanding. Plus, the other thing is uh, feeling a, the family missing was kind of occupied with the, from the church members. So that's what got me into it. Wasn't the, of course, not the doctrines at all, because I was very new and plenty, a lot of time for that to go further in study. So,
But when you were baptized, or what year you were baptized?
yes, I was baptized in 2009. I would say November, but almost end of 2009. The other thing I was curious was actually not even curious. I was uncomfortable, because I didn't have the understanding of the Bible. When they say Passover, you have to eat, God's flesh and blood, and I was like questioning, God is our father and mother. Why do we eat God's own father and mother's flesh
That
and
does
blood?
sound super weird.
That's kind of like, are you guys talking about cannibalism? What is this? That kind of, my mind was uh, thinking that way, because I didn't have the understanding of the Bible. And for sure, there was a lot of love bombing. That also made me to, get into the church. Yeah.
So for me, the indoctrination definitely started with the Bible studies, and like you said, the way that they answer your questions. One of my favorite kind of memories is one of the first Bible studies that my branch did with me. And I would ask a question and she would go, well, let's see in the Bible, and flick to the next verse, and I was just amazed at how she could do that. But in actual fact, the way that the study was developed, it leads you to ask these certain questions, and then they have the answer. So I was just going along with this script. It was really, really intriguing. And then on top of that, the love bombing and the personalities, even the appearances of the church members, I remember thinking that they are all so beautiful. They're really beautiful people. I'm from a small town, So, Cairns is quite a small town. It's a small city. There's only, at the time, there was about 120,000 people in the city. And it's very hot. So most people just wear like singlets and shorts. It's very casual. It's like a beachy place. It's on the coast. So seeing these church members dressed in like formal clothes and wearing really like full faces of makeup, it was totally new to me. I had never seen people dressed like that before. And I thought on a Sabbath day, how could they be more beautiful than they were before? But they're shining, they're just sparkling because the church was made to be like that. It is very appealing.
Yeah.
So that was part of the indoctrination. And as for baptism, for me, my story is really funny like this. The timing was really, it was really just ironic, I guess. But I had actually been baptized a week before in a Baptist church. Because, like I said, I was church hopping and trying to find a place to attend. And I found this Baptist church, I really liked it, and they baptized me, and it was quite a special experience. And in Baptist churches, they're all trying to like get you to speak in tongues and all of that kind of stuff. So I'd already just had this experience. And then they preached to me and they were asking me to get baptized. And I was like, I want to because I really like what you're saying, but I was just baptized last week. So I think I should probably cool it for a little minute,
Yeah.
So I declined baptism, but only for about a week. So I was baptized again. It was within the first few weeks, I think, of meeting them.
Okay.
And at the baptism, it was actually really special. I was really just going with a tide of what I felt was a very spiritual experience. I remember the bathroom in this little house church had these beautiful pink tiles in the bathroom. It's really 80s style, I guess, but I thought it was really special because they've been preaching about God the Mother, and there was like this really super feminine bathroom. And I was like, wow, that's incredible that they've just rented this house and it just happens to have this pink bathroom where they baptize people.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really beautiful the way that they were singing. At the time they would sing The Fountain of Blood.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
this is baptism song,
Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna sing it.
Oh, that song used to, so with certain members it would sound nice, and then with with other members, like I felt sorry
Yeah,
for the people that were
it
getting
was really,
baptized.
it's really high.
Hi.
We had
Yeah.
beautiful singers in our church,
Oh,
and
okay.
it sounded really beautiful. So I was on a roller coaster all
Yeah.
downhill of
Yeah.
I was just all in so quickly. So there was probably red flags that I could see, such as, just the peculiarness of the whole experience, but I was I was very naive. Like I was at that age, at that time, I was incredibly naive, and very just kind of innocent and open-minded. So I didn't see the weirdness as weirdness. I just saw it as part of the beauty of the experience.
But for me, while talking about the red flag, actually, I would say the greetings. God bless you.
Yeah.
Well, previously, nobody greeted with that word, and it was so, up high kind of tune, and that
Yeah,
was
like so
very,
excited.
very excitement after I was baptized, the greetings,
Yeah.
that I felt a little bit like uncomfortable, and that was kind of a little cringe as well. But now when I think,
Yeah.
feel like the word itself is beautiful, but because the word has kind of devalued because
Yeah.
there's no meaning, it's just a greeting, but there is no pure meaning on its that's how I felt by the end I left the church.
Yeah.
I felt that way as well. After a little while of attending, I was really irritated by the fact that I couldn't just walk in and be at peace. I would be
No more greetings.
bombarded with, hugs and God bless you. And they were so excited. And how are you? I'll sit with you. Would you like to do a study? And I actually just wanted to go to church to worship God. I didn't really want to sit there and study the Bible. Sometimes I wasn't feeling great. I was
Yeah.
coming into church for some peace, and they were like overwhelming me with information. And if I said, like, actually, I'd rather just sit here quietly, if that's okay, like I really just want to be kind of alone right now, they'd be like, oh, are you okay? Is everything okay? Are you
Yeah.
sure? All right, can I get you anything?
Yeah.
And I'd feel really weird for just wanting to have a little bit of
Space.
Long time.
tranquility.
Yeah. Yeah, that and they can be very overbearing like that. Like if you don't have that same attitude as they do, then they can say they talks amongst themselves like, oh, maybe they're spiritually sick. Something is wrong
Yeah.
with them, right? And
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
so they put this pressure on you when we're human beings. At the end of the day, we don't always wake up and sometimes our back hurts or we have a headache or
Yeah.
something. We're not gonna be smiling 24/7, and so I really believe that this, things like this really shows like I feel bad for the members. I feel bad for the members, like for the people that experience that. I can see how awkward it must feel because I remember even in the beginning and towards, when I was making my way out of the church, like you were saying, they overuse these words and these greetings, and you start feeling uncomfortable. But I also feel bad for the members that have to do this because even the ones that are doing these greetings and that are always smiling, a lot of the times they're dealing with stuff too, and they can never show it. They just have to suppress it and
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
play the part for the church. And it's really sad because it's just robotic behavior, and it's almost like a script, like
Right.
what is going to happen when you get to the church. The moment you get there, they're gonna greet you
Yeah.
like this. They're gonna tell you you're gonna do either A, B, or C, have dinner together, keep service, pray, practice the sermon books, whatever. Like it's a script. And it just,
Right.
just hearing you guys say that made me think about that, like how not only their doctrine is scripted, but even everyday life in the church is scripted. And to live that every single day for years, it gets exhausting,
For a lifetime, my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, that is such an important point, I think, because that was a huge problem for me, was the social manipulation of people. And the fact that that script, like, we have to think about, I think we have to think about, why is that the script? What purpose does that serve? And I think that from the very beginning, the weirdness, for example, the peculiar, vastly different teachings serve the purpose of opening the mind to to these different ways of thinking and turning us towards a way of thinking that is actually I think it's contrary to common sense and like logic. And that even the social pressure, it increases our stamina for putting up with such things. So from the very beginning, that little bit of, oh, can you just leave me alone? That little feeling is the beginning of you becoming stronger and stronger to be able to deal with immense social pressure that the organization puts on you. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It makes sense. And you
mm,
kind of build up this tolerance because you have
yeah,
no choice, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
if the choice is heaven or hell is what they make it seem like. Everything to them is heaven or hell. If it's not our way, if you don't follow our way, then your only other option is you leave this place and you go to hell. And so, yes, the pressure is very real, you know, and it's very unfortunate because, again, I'm just thinking about all the members that are still in this place, you know, some that's been there a year, 2 years, but even some 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And just imagine,
Yeah.
like, where their mental state is at right now, like so numb to
Yeah.
the world. And it's just crazy. Let me ask you guys this. So, like, during your time in the church, what were some of the responsibilities that you guys had? Like, did you guys have any like titles, any positions? Where you guys do the gospel work, Bible teacher, maybe help with any type of
Mhm.
responsibility? What did you guys do in the church?
In my case, yes, like within 5 to 6 months of being in the church, we were, according to the WMSCOG board, blessed to go for a,
Mhm.
visiting group trip, 2010. That was 52nd group, visiting group. So, and not long after visiting to a Korea trip, I was, given the title unit leader, and then then also I became a group leader, looking after, all the brothers in a youth group in Melbourne. Also, I did um, uh, a teacher as well, teacher to the youth, the teenage brothers. Uh, yes, what else? Cleaning and all those, all the men's duties.
Yeah,
Also, I was doing the, presider. What is the other word? MC.
yeah.
Yeah, for I don't know how many years, 12, 13 years
Oh
of,
wow.
presiding and guiding the service. And once I came to Cairns, where I met Tara, and that's how we were married. So there too, I was given the blessing to do the still the presider, group leader. Also, I was listening to brothers preaching practice, and later. Not long after I arrived in Cairns, I also started doing, the pastoral staff course, um, which they call in Korean word, I think, Sangdoni, something. Yes, I did. I started three theological students to become a pastoral staff. I did. I didn't complete because I just completed part one, but after that, we went Nepal, so I took a break for that. So yeah, that was a lot of stuff to do
Yeah,
for my case.
mm,
So even in Nepal as well, when we were there, 2019, even there, for my surprise, I had to, because it was a house church as well. I was even put on a prayer, praying uh,
yeah,
also, and even doing the presider again in Nepal as well, because it was a house church. All those duties, yeah, that was quite a lot and exhausting to prepare myself to, organize all those,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, my
duties.
memory of you at that time, you know, how long was it between the time that we met and got married and the time that we left was what, 4 years?
No, less than 4 years.
So say 3 years. I mean, you are a completely different human being now. I feel just even in your physical, appearance and just energy levels. I mean, you were so exhausted. I was worried, I was really quite concerned for your health because the pressure that even the presider put on you, because he was presider for every service. There was no other
No
brothers to share the load.
prepare the
You were pretty much the only
Yeah.
person indoctrinated enough to kind of be cleaning all the time and take on the responsibilities. So
Yeah. He was dedicated. He was a dedicated
Yes.
member. Yeah.
really
dedicated.
devoted, dedicated, but I could see the pressure that it put on you. And it is certainly something that is concerning for human beings to be going through that.
I guess that was at some level, I would say that was a good thing for me as well, because that made me, all these pressures, made me to think, how long am I gonna go through all this, not how long you're gonna live, but how long am I gonna be remaining in this church doing the same things repeatedly, that you're exhausted and you're burnt out. So I guess it was I would say, I would take as a positive thing as well, so that then, where I am is the result of all those, things that I went through in the church. So
they do say that the more dedicated members of cults are the ones who are likely to leave because of the amount of
pressure.
research that they do into their own religion, and they look into it, as much as they can, because they want to be fully devoted to it, and also the amount of responsibility that they take on.
That's a good point. That is a great point. I don't think that's ever been shared before. That I feel like that is very true, because even in my case, that is one of the reasons that I also left. Besides what happened to me, and medically, it was also because I was so thorough in the church and always wanted to make sure that everything that I believed was true. I challenged the beliefs, and the history by looking into it. And, when you really start digging deep, that's when you start finding the inconsistencies. But to also just before I lose my chain of thought, hearing you say, like, everything that you've went through, you seem like you had so much on your plate, and I'm curious, I know we're going to get to the part of your story when why you guys went to Nepal and what was that like over there, because Nepal is talked about a lot in the World Mission Society. But just hearing you say, like, all the pressure that you were under, and even hearing Tara say that she was worried about your health, and it made me think, like, in places like this, it seems like, from my experience and from other ex-members that I've talked to, it seems like the members that are also very dedicated and very loyal and always have like a lot on their plate, even if they've been there for years, instead of the load being taken off of them, it's almost as if they get more. And it's like, this place will literally work you to the bone. And that's why also there's so many members that just burn out. It really, the World Mission Society is their own worst enemy. Like, the people that a lot of the people, there's a lot of burnouts in the church. There's also people who do their research and leave, and then there's people who are burned out but they continue to stay. But even then, like, they're a shell of their former selves, and then it's almost like they're running on fumes, and it's very sad. It's very sad and very dangerous, but anyway, go ahead, Tara.
No, it's incredibly dangerous. I am, I would speculate, and this is total speculation, but some of the deaths that I've heard about, it really does make me think that possibly I've heard about previous health conditions being exacerbated, and that happened to me. And I've heard about some people even passing away, and as soon as I hear that, I immediately think, as someone who was a very active member for many, many years, I absolutely think it's a possibility that that their death or that serious health conditions are caused by the activity that this organization irresponsibly pressures its members to participate in that are excessive. So, I mean, for myself, the responsibilities were mainly preaching. I was not a unit leader. I wasn't anything like that. For many years in our church, we actually didn't have any unit leaders. It was a really small house church. And then when we did have unit leaders, it was after a change of pastor. And there was like, he basically, this overseer pitted myself and this other sister against each other in competition for this unit leader position. And he was telling me how in Korea, like, you only have to be attending a third of worship services to be able to be like in a unit leader position, and how he doesn't believe that is right, and he's not going to run this house church like that, and that he has a high expectation for like what do you call that, position holder or something, for position holders. And basically she outdid me, I guess, on I can't remember what it was exactly, what was the point of difference, because we were pretty much similar in studies, etc. I felt at the time that she was perhaps a bit more like obedient than I was. I was not an overly obedient member. I feel I was always confident to speak up with ideas, and
I guess
if I
that's
needed
the
to, I
main
would
reason.
challenge things. Yeah, I was a pain in the
That's what the
backside.
WMSCOG doesn't like. I mean, like, see what challenging and questioning, the leadership. Then of course, yes, but still, that is not a right thing in WMSCOG's perspective, because that's like, that is,
Yeah.
I don't know. From
I
my
would never-
experience, I feel like they don't see it as a
Yeah.
it's related to faith,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I remember the other sisters sitting around the table when I would just have an idea. I mean, the overseer would ask for ideas and I would say an idea, and the other sisters would sit there with their heads down like this.
Yeah.
And as if it was so shameful. It was very confusing for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so responsibilities, I would
We
do
did
the
run
tithe
house chairs for a year.
thing. Yeah, we
Yeah.
did. We tried to establish a house church.
We were
We
sent
moved
for
away. Yeah.
2000, immediately, I think, after we got married, until 2019 for a year.
Yeah.
We did run a house church, which was like 4 or 5 hours driving away from the main church. Not that our main church wasn't that big church as well, but
It was
still,
an office church at the time.
Okay.
And we were suggested to do that. Like, they asked us, the overseer asked us into the office and said, there is an opportunity, looks like there is an opportunity for you to open a house church in Townsville. Would you like to do that? And of course we said yes. It was always part of the plan. And he said, great. We had been doing short-term missions there for a while.
yeah.
And we had like maybe 1 or 2 members. There was one long-term member who lived in that town. And so we rented a house from our own, money, under our own names. And we bought a lot of furniture. Actually, at our wedding, a lot of members gave us a gift of money. Like, members pooled together and gave us a gift of money and said that, here is a gift to establish the house church.
That's what was said to us. But one of my friend, like female friend, who is also ex members of WMSCOG from Melbourne, she did say, actually, when we met a couple years after, she also left. She said that she and the members in Melbourne Church were told the money they also, because I was previously from Melbourne Church, so they also gathered money for our wedding gift as a celebration for a honeymoon. That's how she said, but in reality, nothing was said to us. It was all for the establishment of the house church, for all the expense and all those stuff.
So the overseers told the members, we're going to gather a gift of money together for them so they can have a honeymoon.
Which is
And then the
no.
overseer gave us the money and said, this is for the house church.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds about right with the World Mission Society. Like, it's so crazy.
That's
like,
correct.
That is insane.
Meanwhile, ahnsahnghong and Zangyo were living their life. You know what I mean? I mean, who knows? They probably went. They probably had a couple of honeymoons. It's just so crazy to me how they rob us of moments like that in our life, that maybe to the members in the church that are really like lost in the sauce, they're like, oh, that's not a big deal. But when you leave, you realize that in this life, our life is not that long anyway. And so your life is a series of memories, and they steal a lot of memories from us, and a lot of time, and time with family, and it's just very sad. Let me ask you guys this, on a personal note, like were you guys arranged like in the church, or okay. So how do you guys care to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, you can talk.
Okay, I'll go first. So we were arranged in the fashion that I think it's actually quite a cute story, because the overseer who arranged us, he had worked in Melbourne for quite a long time. So he was overseer when you were baptized?
Yes.
And for the first, 5 years that you were in there?
I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So he had worked with Jukti for quite a while in Melbourne. He then went to Brisbane, and I happened to meet him in Brisbane when I was on a family holiday in Brisbane, and I attended a service there. And he was then transferred to Cairns, where I was. So one night I was cleaning the church by myself. At the time, I think a lot of the gospel workers were really kind of struggling with, the load. And I didn't have any kids, I didn't have any responsibilities, and I would stay back and clean the church by myself. And so I did everything, by the way, we used to clean the chairs. We had like white plastic chairs, and we would clean each chair after every worship service. So I would clean all the chairs, stack all the chairs, mop the floors, clean the bathrooms, do everything.
You get paid for any of that? Absolutely not. Free labor, right?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even mind doing it for free if it wasn't for all of the lies that the church was telling me. I don't mind being, devoted to my religion or devoted to my temple and, doing work to clean the temple, that's fine. But yeah, being cleaning a temple that is based on enormous lies is not okay.
Yeah.
So, but I was cleaning the temple by myself, and the overseer saw me, and he said, he later said to me, seeing you cleaning the temple by yourself like that reminds me of this brother who was Jukti, because he used to clean the temple by himself in Melbourne when everyone else would leave because they all had better things to do, that you would stay back and clean the whole temple by yourself. And he kind of checked if he was still single, and he asked me if I would be interested to meet him. He said, I haven't talked to his overseer or anything. I don't know if he's interested to meet you, but would you want to meet him? And I said, yeah, okay. because at the time I was completely, my plan was actually, I was 24 at the time, and my plan was to remain unmarried until 30. So unless, unless I was going to marry like a gospel worker, there were no gospel worker brothers in my church. So my plan was just to not think about marriage, not worry about it until age 30. And then if I hadn't been married by then, I would probably start to think about it. So I was 24, and he then asked, contacted the overseer who spoke to Jukti. He said, yes, I'd like to meet her. They showed us each a picture of each other.
Yeah.
And then everything went silent for like 4 months.
I think more than 4 months, around 6 months or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was very, very confusing and difficult, because you don't want to appear that you care, or that you want to know, like, hey, what's happening with this guy? I thought he was going to come and like meet me and marry me,
Yeah.
I didn't want to ask even the question, because I didn't want to appear to be distracted. And I also didn't want to get distracted from the gospel work that I was doing. So I didn't want to ask, but I also wanted to know what was going on, because, so on his end too, everything was silent. They weren't telling him anything. So we're both just sitting there going, we don't know what's happening. And then after 4 months, eventually they sort of brought it up again and said, all right, let's make this happen.
Yeah.
So Jukti came from Melbourne, got on a plane, came to Cairns, and we met, and the overseer encouraged us to have like a week getting to know each other. He told me that, this could be your last chance to really spend time together like this. So just don't preach during this week. Just go and get to know each other. So, of course we still preached.
That wasn't from my side.
Yeah, no one told you that. So I had to pass the message on to Jukti that this might be our last chance to ever spend actual time together, as the overseer had told me.
For me, that period, I came, according to the WMSCOG, with full of faith, even to bear a fruit.
Yeah.
Even the time
You were presiding that week. Actually, the overseer was going away.
Well, can I explain that part, honey? Actually, when I see now, it is clearly manipulation and using us. Actually, although that turned out to be a good thing for you and me, because we were connected and we are still here. But at the same time, the situation was in the Cairns church, there wasn't
there was no brother
to guide the service. And it was what is that? The General Assembly, where all the, pastors, ministers go to Korea for their General Assembly before the Passover every year. So it was a scenario where there was no one to guide the service. And at least in Melbourne, later on, there were a few other brothers who were also blessed with the same duty presiding. So I was asked to come and, guide the service when he was away. And then at the same time, also meet with Tara. And
maybe that's why everything went quiet for so long. Because they figured that out.
Oh yeah, that was the main goal, because I went and did all this
they wanted you to come that
service for that week, for that reason, because there was no one, to guide the service. Yes, I did slept in the floor of the house church. And well, at least got time to meet with you. And also he did say, I was quite surprised that, no, not any pastors or missionary has said, like, you don't have to preach, just focus on knowing sister. kind of thing. Previously,
He
no,
was
but
very wise.
that was the situation, and well, it turned out good.
He was very wise slash cunning, actually, that overseer. I felt that, yes, he was very clear that it is completely and utterly our choice, and that there are many reasons to say no to get married. He made it clear that this was a marriage that
For the gospel.
he actually kind of encouraged me to fall in love with you, though. You know, he kind of encouraged love, which was unforeseen on my part. But I'm quite thankful for that. You know, I felt that he wasn't encouraging us to just be, you know, business transaction kind of couple, which is what we would have been if he hadn't told me, you know, that basically that it's okay to love your husband. Then I probably would have just seen it as you know, we're just gospel workers, brother and sister going together, you know. So I do want to mention also that the day that you arrived, he told me that you were arriving at 9 p.m. Okay. I was at work that day and I finished at 5 p.m. And I always came to church straight after work. I would come in my work uniform, I would bring my clothes, I'd get changed at the church. And he told me that day you were arriving at 9 p.m., but he said, however, even though he is arriving at 9 p.m., you just do what you normally do and you come straight after work. We will have a Bible study or something like that. So I did. And there you were. He did not arrive at 9 p.m. He
I
arrived
arrived earlier.
at about 5:30.
Yeah.
So I'd
Wow.
just gotten to the church and just had a chance to freshen up. And then you walk through the door in your suit or whatever you were wearing.
Of course. So,
So that was pretty calculating, I feel. You know, I felt like if I hadn't shown up right after work, like the dedicated gospel worker that I was, then maybe I would have been, number one, you would have met another sister who was very interested in you first before me. Like, and she was like, maybe we might take this out, but she was like dressed in a white dress and like, she was really annoyed that he was meeting me and not her because she was like a better gospel worker than I was. But I was local. She was from Singapore.
On talking about this topic, arranged marriage, I would also have to say that I have seen few marriages before than me in Melbourne church. The youth brothers, two youth brothers, they were also arranged with sisters, and even on our, you know, we had a small celebration where we invited, you know, it's not that we invited, it's the church, whoever they want to pick, you know, those members came on our wedding, and there were also a few members from the Melbourne church because I was from there, and they were especially, I think 5 of them came, but among 5, 2 of the brothers, the motive they came to attend our wedding was also to see few sisters in Cairns church. So among those 2 brothers, one got married to, you know, the errands, the whatever, you know, the church do. So that is my experience. So that is why I'm, you know, saying that it does, arranged marriage does happen to
that was all orchestrated by
all
the
organized
overseer, by the 2 overseers.
And
arranging for the brothers, particular brothers, to come up and meet the particular sisters. We were encouraged to only invite certain members to our wedding because I insisted that we have a proper wedding ceremony because I was a bit concerned about what my family would think if we just had like a courthouse wedding or something like that. So we had a beautiful wedding, but there was a lot of interference, I would say, from the overseers, from the church.
Yeah. I just
Mhm.
I just want to say, like, I love to hear you guys' story that everything worked out, despite the church arranging you guys, because a
Yeah.
lot of the times you don't, you see a lot of these arranged marriages go
Mm.
sideways, and
Totally.
you see a
Yeah.
lot of things that happen in these arranged marriages where the church is putting people in dangerous situations.
Mhm.
But I've always said on this channel, we are interested in truth. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
I'm happy that you guys are explaining about, your marriage and how it worked out. And I really believe that it worked out despite the church, right? So it wasn't the church, their intentions is we want gospel workers. So, if we have a very dedicated worker, in this
Mhm.
Zion, and then we have another dedicated, worker
Yeah.
in this Zion of the opposite sex. Let's put them together, and that'll increase the chances of them doing the gospel work, and it'll
Yeah.
decrease the chances of them ever leaving because they're both so
Yeah.
dedicated, right? But in this case, it worked out because you guys are, very much, in love, good marriage, but you guys are out of the church. So, that
Together.
it's great. It's
One
great
after
to
the other.
hear.
Yeah,
It's
that didn't work out the
it
way we
didn't work
wanted
out
it
for
to,
them.
that's for sure.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm very happy to hear that. But it's also very validating to hear that even though you guys have worked out, you guys are doing great, that you guys acknowledge that the marriage itself was set up by the World Mission Society, so that sometimes we have people watching these videos that are like outsiders, like yeah, like family members, and like they're wonder, does the church really arrange people? And
Mm.
over and over the consistent message is, yes, this is what the church does. Now in your situation, I applaud that overseer, and how he was trying to encourage you guys to make sure that you guys are loving each other and all of that. But at the same time, though, you know he can mean well, but even though you say that to someone, if you guys are also being told, hey, you guys have like a week to get to know each other, it's pretty much like, well, fall in love in a week. And if you don't fall in love in a week, I mean, you guys might not have this time again. So it does add a certain
Yeah.
element of pressure. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
that's not
Oh
how
yeah.
that is not how marriage should work.
Yeah.
But again, you guys, despite all that, you guys hit it off, and so that's great. I just want the audience to be aware of those type of things, because sometimes for that very reason, like even though this is a situation where it worked out, I've seen other, interviews, testimonies of members where they're under that same pressure, right? To like, well, I have a week to get to know them. I have a day to get to know them. I have 2 dates to get to know them. But because they make that decision so fast, they don't necessarily really get to know the person, and then later that relationship can become abusive, which
Yeah.
in some cases
Mhm.
it has, and so
Yeah.
it's
Absolutely.
really scary, you know what I mean, when you really think
Yeah.
about it, because it shows you how this church is really not focused on the well-being of its members, but it's more business oriented. What benefits
Yeah.
our
Exactly.
business, to increase revenue, to produce more workers and bring more people in, and the mindset is there. But that being said, so you guys have this beautiful marriage and everything works out. So then from there, what happens? Do you guys stay in the house church where you were at for a while? Like, did the responsibilities increase? Were you then sent out? How long did it take to get sent out? Kind of take me through that process.
So before we move into that, I do just want to kind of go back over what you've just said and make it very clear that this worked out between us because of luck and because of who we are as people. The overseer specifically told me he did not know like exactly who this brother is. He can't speak for his personality because he hasn't seen him in many years. So he introduced me to someone with the view to marry them without really knowing who they were. He told me that while yes, it is totally my choice whether to say yes or no, the words that he said to me was, however, you need to know that this is a once in a lifetime chance for you, and it's also a once in a lifetime chance for him. He also, yes, I mean, we had a week to kind of spend together to figure things out, which is a lot more than a lot of people get. However, the church having any kind of input into how and when people get to know each other when they have been introduced by a pastor is extremely inappropriate. You know, there should be zero input past, hey, I know someone who you might like. I knew them a long time ago. Maybe you'd like to get to know them. Here's their phone number. That should be the extent if they are going to introduce anyone as a person. They're in a position of power. Overseers probably shouldn't be doing that at all, really. If we think about it, I mean, they're in a position of influence and a huge position of power. We very much felt, or I very much felt that what the overseer guided me to do is what I would do. And also my mindset at the time, due to the doctrine of the church, as well as some pastoral staff relationships that I had seen, my idea of marriage as a gospel worker couple was that I would marry whoever God sent to me, as long as they were a faithful gospel worker, even if they were a bad person, even if they treated me terribly, I would marry them and I would stay with them for the gospel. That was very much my mindset at the time. So I am just very, thankful that I did get introduced to someone who wasn't abusive, because realistically, I would have just been in an abusive marriage. I would have married whoever, because the overseer said to me, this is a once in a lifetime chance for you. So yeah, I do want to make that very clear that I do not condone it. We are lucky that things worked out, and because we are the people that we are, we just are blessed in that way. But it is not appropriate for the church to have any hand in who marries who or who doesn't marry who either. They have no part in the personal relationships of their members.
They don't own the members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, but moving on from that, what was your question again, Edgar? Sorry.
Yeah, so just after the marriage, what did you guys get into after that when it came to responsibilities? Like, I'm assuming that they increased. I'm assuming maybe the pressure to get sent out or to do more around the church was going on. So just kind of take me through a little bit of that process after the marriage.
So firstly, there is the understanding that you cannot establish a house church if you are not a married couple. I was directly told that by one of my overseers. I desperately wanted to establish a house church. I even talked to one of the other sisters about it, but we were strongly discouraged from doing that because we needed a male to lead the service, as well as it was seen as a little bit of a safety thing as well, that there should be like a male in the house. It was only about a month after we got married that we were suggested to move from where I had grown up. I had lived in this town my whole life, and we were suggested to move 4 hours away to Townsville. So specific, right? Like, we didn't choose where to go. We weren't just moving there anyway. And they said,
Right.
why not have services at your house while you're down there? It wasn't like that. They pulled us into the office and asked us, would you like to go to this town and establish a house church? There is an opportunity for you to do that. And we said, yes, of course. So that was pretty much the increase of our responsibilities after getting married.
So-
to run the church. On top of, Tara was working.
Yeah.
I was working as well here and there, but
Yeah. It was harder for you to find a job where we were going.
Yeah.
So, not to mention that after we, rented a house, got all the furniture, started everything up, we broke the lease where we were already living in order to move. And then it was about, what, 3 or 4 months?
Few months.
We signed a 1-year lease, and it was 3 or 4 months, and the overseer called you or called us and said, hey, things are kind of too slow down there. I think you should come back. How about, why don't you move back? And as we know,
I was yes.
you normally would say just yes, because the overseer is telling you that that's what you need to do. He's guiding you to do that. However, for myself, I said no, basically, because we had broken our lease in order to go there. We would have to break another lease in order to leave. I didn't want that on our rental history. And also, I had changed jobs. I'd left a really good job in order to come down to Townsville, and I was going to have to leave that job after 3 or 4 months, go and get another job. It would look really bad on my resume. Because I was a medical receptionist at the time. So it's a little bit of a professional job. Like, you don't want to be jumping around all over the place. It doesn't look good. So basically I said no.
But
and he
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just want to highlight, like, good for you. Good for you that you stood up for yourself, because they had already made you, pretty much because of the pressure, lose a good job. And again, they don't care about what goes on our records. I know so many members, including myself, who lost so many opportunities, so many jobs, so many, careers. So there's so many things that people left on the table. You know what I mean? People that's ruined their credit, that's had to file bankruptcy when they had a bright future ahead of them, and it's like this place, it does not care. So anytime that I hear, someone stand up for themselves even a little bit, I have to stop and applaud you. So, congratulations on that. So, but I'm assuming that's not the end of the story. So what happens after you say no?
So first of all, I feel that I was able to say no because of maybe I guess, the personality that I'd already established myself as in the church. I think that most people knew that I was not the bow my head and do whatever kind of sister. I always was working towards the good of the church. And also the overseer he was not the kind of person to start yelling at you, and although he did actually reprimand you one time, I remember quite badly, but I think he knew that if he was to do that with me, that I would probably not respond very well.
Yeah.
And that it wouldn't get him where he wanted to go. So I guess he just said to me, "Oh, okay, would that put a black mark on your history, would it? Oh, okay, I understand. So you don't want to move back. Okay. All right. Well, okay, no worries." So his response was not terrible. From then, we were required to attend worship in the main church, which is 4 hours drive once a month, which we did. And we were required to go sometimes more than that if it was a feast.
Feast time,
Yeah.
So
4 hours. That's not something, I even now, I think I used to drive so much for the church. I used to even drive the church bus around in 2015. And I got so burned out with doing that now that I'm out of the church, I don't even like taking 1 hour trips to drive anywhere. So I can just imagine like how taxing that is for you guys to have to go once a month, 4 hours out of the way, for something that, you should be allowed to do it where you're at your house. Why wouldn't you be allowed to keep service? It's a whole it's all about control. And they don't understand these 4 hours. One, gas is not cheap. Two, safety, right? Like no one ever thinks like all these 4 hours there, 4 hours back, once a month, plus including feast or any special occasions, you're putting members at risk. And me myself, I've been in an accident on the way to an education with members, in the van. And I've also seen, other members get into car accidents during church related, trips. So these things happen. Passover doesn't protect you from these things. The Passover doesn't even protect you from the common cold, much less a car accident. So I think that, all these things need to be highlighted, because again, that's just more stress that is added to the members that, and it just, it's really, it bothers me. It bothers me how they treat their members. But anyway.
100%. So in addition to that, I actually had a chronic pain problem. So this problem had been exacerbated when I was age 22, I think. So I'd been in the church for maybe a couple of years, maybe I was 22, 23. And I was working at an overnight grocery store at the time. And basically I started getting sciatica that was so bad that I would scream in pain. I could not get up. I would get up off a chair would take me a good 1 minute sometimes. It was extremely bad.
I have seen the worst. In Nepal.
Poor Jukti. He's taken care of me so much. Thankfully, I don't have that anymore. But I do believe that the rigorous schedule that I was under was possibly 100% of the cause of that. So I was working overnights and then going to preach and having maybe like 4 or 5 hours of sleep most days, if I could even get that much. So this problem was exacerbated. I kept preaching, I kept doing everything. In fact, I pushed harder because I was terrified that this problem was going to stop me from, doing the gospel work. And it got better. I think it had been better for about a year when you and I were married. And then after about, I don't know, maybe 6 months after being in Townsville, it came back. And I was doing everything that I could to fix it. However, I couldn't do certain exercises because they are, yoga or Pilates related. Even some of the exercises that the physiotherapist would give me were seen as like a worship position. So I was discouraged from doing those.
It's crazy.
Then the driving back and forth from Townsville on the regular was just torture. Sometimes driving exacerbates it terribly. So even now I have to be very careful not to drive too much. So yeah, that was not good. I guess I couldn't even, I didn't feel that I could even complain about it because I'm going to worship God. What am I not supposed to go? Am I going to let this pain problem? I mean, I can physically get in the car and I can physically go, even though it's making me almost debilitated. Yeah, I mean, this issue has resolved itself after, I think after 2.5 years after leaving. So I do believe that, and I have to manage my schedule
Your diet
well
well.
now. My diet, oh my goodness.
It was mainly your diet that was
Yeah,
affecting.
yeah. So I found out that I have intolerances to eggs, yeast, and dairy, which if I was, doing gospel work and we're always eating in the church, I mean, there's no way that I could avoid anything. You can't avoid anything. You have to eat what is there. Sometimes people would bring their own food and they get looked down on and all of those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my health problem that was really badly exacerbated. I would sometimes, I remember preaching during a feast once and I was so sleep deprived that my nose started bleeding while I was preaching. And I think the overseer might have said to me, I was preaching with the overseer, and I think he might have said to me, like, do you need to stop? Like, do you need to go and have a rest? And I was like, no, we should keep going. And he praised me for that. I specifically remember him praising me for that, which is really silly.
Yeah.
Again, a person who's in a position of influence needs to take care of the people that they have a duty of care to take care of.
Yeah.
My job at one point when I was working as a medical receptionist, my boss would say to me, I'm really worried about you. You look really pale. Are you sure you're okay? Like every time you've come into work, you're really pale. I don't think you're okay. And it was during the feast. I was coming into work at 7 a.m. after 5 a.m. worship services, going preaching after work. I had to start changing my makeup because because I had to hide my illness. I remember going to a health professional. It was actually an acupuncturist, and they asked me they wanted to look at my tongue, and they looked at my tongue and they went like that. They had this really confused and shocked look on their face, and I went, what's wrong? And they go, you look like you've been incredibly tired for a very long time. This is not good. And I just had to lie about it. I just went, oh no, I get plenty of rest, I'm fine. But I knew that it was because of the church. I consciously lied because I knew that my schedule was excessive, and that if I expressed that I was under this excessive schedule because of the church, that it would reflect poorly on the church. So I couldn't say anything to the health professionals that were around me either, which is really dangerous. And
Wow.
that is a doctrine of the church as well, that you shouldn't, you shouldn't speak negatively
Yeah.
about the church to other people. And now we know that if you do that, that if you speak negatively, you're called a slanderer,
Yeah. It,
even if it's true.
what was the words? Don't block father mother's glory, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one for me. I always felt like I was hiding the glory of father and mother, that I was, I was so inadequate. I had huge anxieties because of that teaching in particular.
Meanwhile, father and mother didn't really care too much about their glory in Korea because they were having a good old time, back in the day. And
Yeah.
it's just one of those things I just find very crazy, like how you know like the members that are in there, if they only knew the real history, what really happened, and
Yeah.
how these people that have them living their life and walking a certain standard to please them, when in reality these people didn't even live by that standard. And it's just very, very ironic, the just how everything is inside the World Mission Society. But yeah, and to your point, the sciatica, I know a little bit about that through my father because he has sciatica. And like, when especially on trips, he like when we take a long trip in the car, it's always when he gets out of the car, you could just tell how he's writhing in pain. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I feel for you, because yeah, that is not fun. And again, it's very telling that these symptoms seem to have been at an all-time high when you were
Yeah.
in the church. And that's
Yeah.
something that obviously we cannot say 100% that the church caused it, but because it's our bodies, we know, we can be 99.9% sure, because we know our bodies, we
What
believe that the
causes it?
church caused it, and because of all the stress and everything that they have you doing,
Mm.
so let me ask you guys this. Getting to the part of your story about getting transferred to Nepal, I'm kind of interested in how did you guys go from since you guys were asked to move back to the original church, you guys said no, so from that time on until you guys went to Nepal, how what happened, how did you guys end up from there and going to Nepal? What was that story like?
So from the time that we decided not to go to Cairns again, we were preaching, working, we weren't bearing any fruit. We were just in this house church, which was super weird. People
We
didn't want to come to
we
our
did
little
more
house
fruits.
church. We did, okay, yeah, right. We did bear some fruit, mostly you probably. But I mean, it was weird. No one wanted to come to our little house church. It was an odd little place. But we needed to go to Nepal actually for a family matter. Jukti's family still live in Nepal. So we went to be there. We planned to be there for about 18 months. So during that time, we weren't like transferred by the church or anything. It was our personal choice to go. We planned to be there for about 18 months. We went there, we arrived in September 2019. So it was only a few months later that COVID started, and then lockdown happened, I think February or March 2020.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, like I said, luckily we had already planned to be there for an extended period of time. And we ended up only being like stuck for about 2 months longer than we planned to be there. But it was pretty scary, the fact that, we couldn't travel even though we wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so we were just staying there and going to church as as members.
Okay, so you guys were able to go to actually attend in person the church in Nepal during that
Yeah,
time.
we did.
Okay, so I'm curious, members hear about Nepal all the time, here in all over the world you hear about places like Nepal and Peru, right? So what was your guys' experience like in the church in Nepal? Is it everything that they claim, or is it just like any other church that you guys have been to?
Mm. I explain. Well, for me, it's how they portray the gospel in Nepal in the videos from WMSCOG. Well, for me, with my personal experience, I didn't feel the same way. We did attend main church. I think it's the second or the second biggest church in
We
Nepal.
attend First Zion.
No, I think that wasn't the first, but there was quite a lot of members on the church when we visited, Kathmandu, because there was my sister, so we attend some services there in a little house church as well. And where my parents are, they're in different part of Nepal and away. Is it Western Nepal?
Hmm?
Chitwan.
No,
I don't even know
Chitwan
my
is
location of
Chitwan
my
is southern Nepal, darling.
Southern Nepal because I'm not good with the directions. Yeah, my parents were attending a house church.
Okay.
That was Chenoli.
Yes, but there was issues in that church where the members were not happy with the leader. There was a deacon and his wife running the church.
His
It was a
wife used to pinch the children and hit them, and
old church. I don't know. I just felt not good, like attending, like members. There wasn't a
there was a lot of conflict.
there was a conflict between the members about the offerings, and every Sabbath lunch has to be provided by each groups, and not everywhere people are financially affordable to afford, but situation wasn't like that. It was so difficult that the members were pushed into offerings for the Sabbath lunch, and it's ended up every time was like a few workers, like one or two, because my parents, my father and mother both, it's all me. I led them to the church. They are so devoted, yeah. So yeah, uh, even the deacon wasn't that. I didn't see even him, uh, he's studying with members on the, after services, the between the gaps. There wasn't that kind of study with the, he didn't have that baptism authority.
This deacon, oh, I felt
Yeah.
really sorry for him. I felt like he was just under so much pressure, and he was so tense. He was a very intense person as it was. And then I felt like the pressure of his position just made him into this very closed off, very like uptight kind of, position. And he would just give the sermon and then just like run into the room after service, like
after
not
the
even greet
services.
anybody. He would just hide until the next worship.
Yeah, that was a little bit kind of unusual for me, like a church leader, hanging out with the members, being kind of, friendly or talking.
He was
I didn't see
pretty mean, really.
like that. And yeah, there was always like back talk about them from the members and even from my, female groups. And I don't know, really a weird situation that I was trying my best to even be more close to the deacons, to the church leader, because I was in the same position. So to even make more time to go there and, talk with him, what's the situation, how is everything? Tara and me, we did try, our best to help them. So,
Yeah, we sort
um,
of tried to be empathetic of their position because they were receiving a lot of criticism.
mm,
And we tried to kind of say to them, we have been in a similar position. We were house church leaders. Of course, it can be hard, but you need to be loving and, maybe don't hit the kids. And, we tried to kind of just give them some company and give them some love. And I think that they really appreciated that. But they ended up being transferred away
yeah,
to a different church. And one of the members, oh no, he was different. He was transferred in from somewhere else, wasn't he?
yeah,
The next deacon couple.
yeah,
And they were a lot more social. They were a lot more
yeah.
open and
The
friendly.
next couple who came, yeah, he was pseudonym as well. He was, yeah, they were much socially, um, talking and nice to the
But
Was
member.
I'm sorry.
there are a lot of yeah, no, you go, Edgar.
Real quick, was are we still talking like Nepal or
Yeah,
okay? Okay, just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure.
yes.
So it's interesting. I want you guys to keep going, but I just want to highlight how shocked I am because like it's starting to sound like Nepal's no different than anywhere else. Like the
Mhm.
same issues consistently. And what comes to my mind hearing you guys say this is that because besides Nepal, the other place that I would constantly hear in the church during my time there was Peru. And funny enough, I want to say that these last 2 months, most of my calls and emails have been with people from Peru. And
Mhm.
like just now hearing Nepal and Peru, the one of the the top two places that you would hear the most, like, oh, these places are amazing places of the gospel, and the members are telling a whole different story. And what that's making me understand is what the World Mission Society puts out there, how they try to present something isn't necessarily what's actually happening, and how the
Yeah.
members are what they're actually going through, what you're experiencing in real time. You can put anything on a video, but when you're actually
Mhm.
there in person, that's when you really see what's actually going on. So I'm so glad you guys are going into detail about this. But anyway, please
Yeah.
continue.
Mm.
Yeah, well, sometimes I used to feel sorry for the members because, especially one thing that was a little bit off-putting for me was like, um, after every afternoon service, yes, afternoon service, not just in Nepal church, I think in other part of the world, in the WMSCOG as well, they have the leaders, unit leaders and group leaders meeting, kind of for some reason, that was happening in that house church where after afternoon service, of course, normal members, they go home, but the workers, they had to attend this meeting, and some members like me and Tara had to wait for my parents because my parents, they were on the front line and had to join all the meetings every time. And I was a little bit, kind of not happy, like why other people, other members has to wait because of these meetings could happen. That was just personal, my what I thought in that, during that time, that why can't these meetings be after morning service where there is lunchtime, and if there is still time plenty, why can't it be on that time, rather than there wasn't even not much to all the cleaning after afternoon service is all done. And it's not like in Australia, but in Nepal, like people have their kettles at home, like they were in the chairs the whole morning, afternoon, and before the evening service they have to go home and feed their, the cattles or, all those chores
So they have to
and
put
duties.
chickens away. They need to feed
Yeah, their
feed
goats,
livestock,
livestock.
which means, by the way, getting the grass,
Yeah.
not just, giving them some hay that you already have in the barn. Sometimes you have to go
Yeah.
to the field and cut the grass and carry it to the livestock.
Yeah, and on top
As
you
well
have
as
to,
fields of vegetables that they're growing. It's just part of the lifestyle in Nepal. You need time to
Yeah.
produce your own food.
you
That's just
prepare
part
your
of
dinner, eat, and
what
then
it
come for the evening service. That was kind of, for me, was a little bit stressful. And for me, was like, why can't these leaders or the organization not understanding or being considered with the member situation? Because that was really kind of um distasteful for me personally. So yeah.
it is hugely distasteful. It's out of touch.
Yeah, members, even the frontline leaders, they are also exhausted already. They are ready to go home, but there is
But they have
this
to do
kind of commitment every time.
So yeah, that's kind of the problem with the whole like, oh, just preach, it will solve all of your problems. I was told that many times when I had
Mm-hmm.
problems. Heavenly Mother says that when you preach, all of your problems will solve themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're looking at, cows needing to be fed and vegetables needing to be planted and watered and fertilized, in order to feed yourself, that becomes a very real problem. And it did cause problems within particularly your family unit as well. Do you think we can talk about that with the problems that we had and that also with that your parents had, especially with uncles and aunties and
Yeah.
cousins and
Well, that's the fact, actually. Unfortunately, being the member of WMSCOG, my parents, think they've been also came to the truth, according to the WMSCOG. Maybe they've been here in the chairs more than 10 years as well. But since they become the member of the World Mission Society Church of God, unfortunately, their connection with my uncles, my relatives who are next to each other, there is, I don't know.
so they live
Next
on
to
the same
each other,
property
but
in houses very
there
close to
is no any sort of connection anymore. There is like my parents don't hang out or rarely talk. There is, I don't know.
the relationship is
The relationship has been totally cut off, and
very badly torn.
yeah, that made me also think, think about the church, what kind of church it is. Also made me realize, like, the place where I am and where the place I call the truth. But here, for me personally, it was okay and it was easy back in Australia, because before I met Tara, I was a single person. I didn't have to worry about my parents or whatever. But back home, all the uncles and relatives, all they are so near and they were close. But now it's like there's nothing as before. So that is something kind of, it is painful to see, even to talk with my parents. I do call them. They don't call often, because I also left the church. Well, talking to me is like talking to a Satan probably for them now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they don't have a like good relationship with my brother and my sister-in-law, who are in Melbourne, and they're having their first child. And my parents, they're not into coming and see the first grandchild. We even asked, not that they have to support themselves, we are supporting everything back
We've
home,
offered to like pay
but
bring
they are
them
not
over.
willing to come and see their first grandchild, it's so distasteful. To talk with them is so uncomfortable and awkward, and they don't have much thing to talk with me, even though I call, it's so awkward. So that is how that is what I'm experiencing still in the church. So that is sad at the same time. I do love them, but I hope, someday they will come out, especially my dad. He's really a different person. And yeah, mainly I talk with my mom. My dad, I don't know, doesn't seem like he wants to talk with us, or it's all because of unfortunately, it is the fact because they are the members of the World Mission Society Church of God, don't associate with the people who are already spiritually dead.
Yeah. It really worries me, actually, the way that they are talking now. It really worries me about what they're being told in their church. Like, because of course, even if they want to come over, then what do they have to do? They have to go and ask the overseer, hey, I need to go on this trip. Can I do the home worship service or something if I need to? The overseer has to give approval. And that is another system that is built in as a means of control. We can say, oh, you have to go and ask the overseer, otherwise they won't be happy. That is true. But even if it weren't true, you still have to get permission to have home worship services. And you have to get like logins and all of those kinds of things organized, and you have to make sure your life card is updated if they still do that. So even that alone is another like inappropriate structure within this organization.
Yeah.
But also with family things, I really worry about what they're being told, because I can just imagine, as someone who was in for so long, I can almost hear it in my own ear. Satan can use even your first grandbaby as a means of distracting you. I can't say that is definitely what they're being told, but I can imagine, because that is the kind of thing that I have heard so many times myself.
Yeah.
So it's very concerning. It affects our family greatly. It
has affected greatly. So
it's so scary to have to talk like that about a church, and you would not expect things like this from a church, especially a place that claims to be the true church. And yet we can see clear signs of how, this church has affected your family, how it has severed ties and relationships, strained these relationships. And it's very sad, it's very heartbreaking, but unfortunately this is the reality of members inside the World Mission Society Church of God. And to your point of even what they're saying right now, we just received a sermon from people that we have on the inside that are giving us information of what's being said, during the services. Recently, there was a sermon given. I believe it was general pastor, but I believe the sermon was called God's Will. But basically in that sermon, he's explaining that the betrayers should be killed. And and it's the kind of language that is being used. Like, he doesn't need to directly say physically kill them, right? But the fact that those words are even mentioned, even if he's talking about, separating from families or whatever. You can, the way members interpret it is different, right? And that's dangerous, because people that are not stable can interpret it a certain way, and
And they
bad
have in
things
the
can
past,
happen.
right?
And they have, and then we've seen situations, very dangerous and unfortunate situations, happen because of stuff like that. And it's very sad. It really is, because these are good people that are being affected, by a place like this, and really hope that this year, more people start, waking up and coming out of that place. But yeah,
They're very much betraying members.
yes,
The
100%.
people who support them and give their means of running the organization, and who give our lives and our time and our energy and our health and our youth.
Everything, our lives,
Yeah.
Our lives.
So let me ask you guys this. I guess, in conclusion, like, how did you guys end up leaving the World Mission Society Church of God? Take me through that process.
So I guess I'll go first, because I left first. So during COVID, we were keeping home worship services. That was all fine because we were all together, but I was starting to get very, very tired.
You had the issues of the body as well.
I had chronic pain. I was very depressed. I was also starting to watch videos of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, wow.
Telling their stories, and that really interested me. I did not connect it to the WMSCOG at all at first. I told myself that I was just going to watch to like research the Jehovah's Witnesses and how terrible they are. And I saw a lot of similarities in the treatment of members. I would tell myself though, well, at least we don't shun people who leave, but we absolutely do shun people who leave. So we were keeping the home worship service, and then we were required to go back to church. The lockdowns were lightened, and we were able to go to church for most worship services, or some worship services.
And
And
this is still in Nepal, correct?
yeah, we're still in Nepal.
Okay.
And I decided I was too anxious and too I basically just refused to go to church for the worship services. I just said, look, I'm just gonna stay home. I'm really upset. Like, I just didn't want to go. I couldn't, because we were in Nepal, I couldn't understand properly the sermons because they were in Nepali. And I was very uncomfortable around a lot of the members, because I'm the only white person or the only non-Nepali person in the whole congregation. Members were very, very interested in me, and they were very it was overwhelming to me, the conversations, and I just didn't have it in me. So I refused to go. And they said, okay, well, fine, you can keep home worship service. And when you're ready to go back to Australia, you figure it out then. So they approved me for that. And then I kind of just sneakily stopped keeping the worship services.
Which I had no idea.
So they would all go, and I'd be like dressed in my worship outfit, pretending that I was definitely going to keep worship service. While they were at church, I would keep home worship service. But I guess one day I just didn't do it. And that was, I think, one of two. I'd only ever missed, I think, 2 worship services throughout my life of very intense faith. One of them was out of my control, one of them was in my control, and I got in big trouble. So then, yeah, this time I just decided, well, no one's going to know. I'm just going to tell them that I did, but I'm not going to do it. And I really was kind of conversating with God that, what is this all about? You know, like, why is it like this? This is silly. I mean, God, why are you letting your church be like this? This is crazy. And yeah, it was very much an inner battle. I was completely alone in it. Jukti had no idea. I couldn't tell anybody. I just kept going alone. I think I did tell you while we were still in Nepal, right? I told you, hey, look, I haven't been keeping worship services.
Yeah.
And you were
You're saying you were not feeling right, and
yeah, I explained it to you, and I'm so thankful that you were so understanding. And I was really scared. I thought he was going to like break up with me or something. And he just sort of said, I understand, you know, just take your time, go easy, and you know, you'll figure it out. I'm here for you if you need to know anything. And I asked you for spiritual support, you know, I asked you to study with me and all sorts of things. Then we went back to Australia. The church, so weird. The church in Cairns had been praying for us in the representative prayer. They had been praying for Jukti and Tara to safely make it back to Cairns and, you know, be like strong gospel workers in Cairns church again, which is, as you know, is totally never happens. Like they're never praying for individual people. I mean, that's what the overseer said anyway. I don't even know if it's true, but
yeah, it's a good story.
It's a really good story to put a lot of pressure on us to come back and perform properly.
Yeah.
So there was a fair bit of pressure, but I don't have a lot of shame, I guess. I don't have a lot of like concern for what, you know, what other people sort of think, I guess. And I was kind of like, well, I'm going to do what I need to do. So, you know, you can pray for me all you want. That doesn't mean I'm going to come back and be like, oh, everybody, your prayers worked.
Didn't work.
They didn't work. No one heard them. I don't know. Maybe they were addressed incorrectly. I don't know.
God didn't hear. Probably was deaf. Isn't that what the Bible says?
Yeah. The Mama Chang was asleep in the sanctuary. She can't hear your prayers. So okay, so you come back. So but did they know that you were not keeping services in Nepal?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I kept just reporting that I had kept the worship service. No one knew
Okay.
except for us.
Oh, okay. I understand now. So you come back, they're expecting that you guys are gonna come back, these hardcore gospel workers, 144,000 saints, valiant warriors of the truth. And so when you guys come back, what happened?
Well, I think we faked it. I think I faked it for quite a while. I tried to anyway. I tried really, really hard to.
You did try.
Like I had to keep. I kept every worship service. Jukti was fine. Like he was, you know, just going as he had always gone. But I was really struggling. I was so angry when I would, you know, I was refusing to sing the songs. I would just like have the songbook like this and pretend that I was singing, even though I would literally move my mouth, even though I wasn't singing. Just
Well,
so I
have seen a few times that, you know, the time to sing the new song.
Because he was
Tara wasn't singing, or she was just looking at the new song and not singing. I was like, what's up? What's up? What's happening? Why you're not singing? But later, you know, that was what she was going through.
Yeah, I was really, really struggling. I was so angry hearing the sermons because I had clicked the control tactics. That was my main concern. Was it wasn't so much like the doctrine or the spiritual side of it. It was the fear tactics, the indoctrination methods, the social control. I had woken up to all of that and I couldn't unsee it. So it was incredibly painful to actually be there. I felt like I was just about to explode. So I had to stop going before I did explode. So yeah, I just kind of, I think I slowly kind of stopped going.
Slowly,
Yeah, one by one, I just kind of dropped away, and the overseer tried to get me back, and I just couldn't be bothered. Eventually, I just stopped going altogether, and I would still be nice and kind and welcoming to anyone who dropped by, and I would have conversations with them. And of course, you know, they were not able to deny what I was telling them about the like I said, the indoctrination methods and control tactics and all of that. The sisters, I was very hurt actually, because I guess members had been told sort of not to talk to me, probably, I would imagine. But the sisters didn't contact me, you know, it was only the overseer, and I was really hurt because I'd been with these women for 7 years, you know, at the time. Well, almost about 8 years, really, yeah. And because these gospel workers, it was mostly Korean people, but they had been there throughout the entire span of my life of faith, which is quite unusual, but they had moved permanently to the area. And I was just really hurt that they didn't even check if I was okay. I just thought that was just so, even in the church, even under the circumstances, I can't imagine if one of them had just dropped away, not even contacting them genuinely and reaching out and checking if they are okay. So yeah, I did get a visit, and I told them that, you know, that I was pretty disappointed that they had just treated me like I was a stranger. And that was the end of me. I kept supporting Jukti. I discussed with you that, you know, I love you, I want to stay together, but I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to pressure you to leave. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't want to know. You are just going to have to make your own way. I would even do things like, you know, make sure that he had eaten before worship service. I refuse to iron your clothes for service. I wouldn't go that far, but I would take care of you, because again, I was worried about your health because of the schedule. And I would sometimes tease you a little bit, like you would be rushing out the door to go to service all stressed, and I'd be sitting there in my dressing gown, my pajamas, with my cup of tea, and go, bye. Have a good time at service.
Yeah. So okay, so it's kind of cool to hear you like say how you kind of like just, you know, eased out, but you still were supporting, you know, Jukti, and then also you were keeping a good relationship, you know, with the people, nothing out of the ordinary. So now I'm curious to hear from your point of view, Jukti, like what was going on in your mind, and just take me through your whole process. But you know, even before we get to like you exiting, during that time when that was going on with your wife, like what was your mindset like? Were you still 100% believing, you know, everything that the church, you know, taught, or seeing her, you know, go through what she was going through, did that make you like second guess things? Or just take me through what was going on in your mind.
Yeah, sure. For me, I have to say that I think even now, members from the church might have been saying, Jukti has been led by Tara, so he has fallen. They might have, said that, but in reality, um, me leaving the church, actually, Tara doesn't have any part on this. She left.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit, but because there were the times that uh, even from Melbourne church, before coming to Cairns, there were few things that always stuck on my head, which were like morally, I'm like morally a moral person, like doesn't suit me morally, then for me that is kind of off off-putting. So yes, in Melbourne there were situations like where, kind of even the first one was when, the WMSCOG, they do the voluntary, all those activities, cleanup and all those. And on those situation one was, I think I was very still new. And it was the, photo session where it's not natural, but where you are asked to kind of the setup, like do this or do that for the picture, kind of, that was a bit off-putting for me. That was like, that is a bit strange. Why can't it be natural? We are here for the voluntary, for the helping region. That is my mindset. That was mindset. But in reality, there was more, uh, publication for more outward appearance. That was kind of hit me. The other situation was there was few Nepali Nepali community group who also actually joined and participate in blood drive in Melbourne. I don't remember exactly what year, but yes, they did join, and they were all introduced as members of the Church of World Mission Society, Church of God, because I'm Nepali. That's why they were more leaning to me, and I was, talking with them. But later there was a situation where they had some community event. They also wanted, because they participated, in the church event. That's why they also wanted us to join. And when I informed about that, there was like, from the church side was like, no, we don't connect with those people. Like kind of that was totally cut off for them. So that was, so for me, that was like, it is very selfish from the church side. Whenever you need, you use and utilize whatever is necessary, you do. And when they need, you are not there at all. That was kind of the another off-putting for me. And there was also this situation where, after preaching in the afternoon, after lunch, we always have a coffee time, and all the Korean members are talking, one side, and all the other members are on the other side. That kind of, dynamic, and could see the favor for the specific people, all those situation made me also off-putting day by day. Lastly, it was in Cairns, which was like, well, we had a previous house leader who is a deacon, still joining this Cairns church, and he was, never talk with any member, just keep service, go home, doesn't help anything. And I was like, you know,
He was probably mentally like out.
I
think.
don't know, but I
Something.
was so, like I always wanted to talk to him and be friendly to him, and, get to know him, because he was previously house church leader, but, he doesn't participate anything. So, and here and there, I wanted to talk to him, but, he was always ignoring me. And even one day, I don't know, for some reason, when I was talking, he said on my face that he hates me.
Wow.
That deacon. Yeah, I was like so shocked. Like I was like, okay. And then he also told me that he said to me that I know why the reason that he hates me. I'm like, what are you talking? I have no idea. I'm not God to know the reason why, somebody hates me. How can I know? That was also kind of off-putting for me because I was always wanting to know that particular deacon and wanted to develop a relationship with him, but to find a people of God who who is taught that God is love and God is full of love and we are one body with God who is love, and from this person who believe this true God who is love says on my face, I hate you. That was like, okay, although you said that to me, but I didn't have hate. I still love you, you know. So that was really off-putting for me. And the other situation was like with actually the new overseer. His name is Daniel something. So he was sent from Brisbane. Until I left, I was preaching with, whenever on the Sabbath day or third day, but there were the days sometimes I skip preaching because I wanted to go, but Tara also knows I wanted to go, but I didn't. I end up not going. I end up staying home. But there were the time
You
like
wanted to want to go, I
yes,
think.
wanted to go, but I end up not going for, my probably that was my exiting
just
period
kind
as
of
well.
waited around until the
Yeah,
time had passed.
I was preaching with this overseer. For me personally, his English isn't great, but I felt that we connected a young man who was so nice. He was a Christian. He was so interested that he said that even he gave his number, like, I will, even we gave him number on my own time when I'm interested. I will seek you guys. But I find out this overshare had gone visiting this person like 3 or 4 times after we praised him. He did say that, don't come, I will come myself. And when I heard from him, I didn't say anything to him, to the church leader, but I was like battling myself like, the person is interested and he does want to come, but you are bothering him so much that he is like now closing his doors, although he was open to our message, because the way you are, nagging and going and visiting him so often, that was really distasteful for me personally. So that was kind of telling me something isn't right here. Why is he, we should be, open heart and not letting people be in the situation where like, oh, did I miss the point? My point is like,
You didn't.
instead of, letting them decide, you are forcing in direct word, you are pushing and forcing that person to, come to the church and continuously. That was really, really off-putting for me. From this is an overshare from the church, missionary from the church. So that also made me, think the other. Sorry, there's so many things.
It's okay.
The other thing is like, I used to work in a cafe, and there was a female member who, a long-term female Korean member who also, uh, worked with me on the same cafe. While I'm talking about this member, I'm not personally, sabotaging her or saying bad thing about her, but this thing, working with her, because I'm moral person that I want to do good to people, whether you believe God or not, but it was so hard working with her that, where also the same Bible says, even at wherever you go, even you're in the church, you should be, God's glory should be, shown to the people of the world. But this female sister was like, was the number one person who was complaining about all the other stuff in the cafe to the head chef. And whenever it starts gets busy, she was like finding something else, like she's suddenly in the toilet or suddenly washing dishes. Like, although we have this person who does his job, but instead she was doing, something which is like not supposed to do. And
She was avoiding.
yes, she was avoiding, and she was like, and also like, without asking, she was just grabbing the ice cream from the dessert section and eating, and all those stuff, made me so yuck, like, because I couldn't say anything, because if I say, she might be hurt, you know. So all that behavior of this female member also, I'm saying again, I'm not saying bad thing about her, but the reason I'm pointing out is that because it affected me morally, because here we are at workplace to shine God's glory or nice to the people, but here you are claiming you are from the best one of the true church, and you complain the most, and you just avoiding all the duties, and not doing the right thing, made me not to associate with not just her, but even the whole establishment. I don't want to associate with organization where say they are the truth, but in reality they don't act as it is. So all these kind of scenario and situation that I came across through in my life of faith. Of course, there are many, but the time, these made me, kind of leave the church, and I decided that if I want to leave this church, I want to keep all the festivals, yearly festival, and after all the festivals finish, then I will be exiting. That's how I ended my life of faith. Even I changed my phone numbers because they do call, of course.
Yeah.
I changed my phone number, and we moved to certain different hours away from the church so that no one could contact me. That's the path I chose, even after even to exit from the WMSCOG. That's what I have done. So yeah, so
And
we are now happy. That's my story.
and how long ago was that?
I left the church end of 2022.
End of 2022. Okay.
Yes,
So it's been some years now. So
yes.
you guys seem like you guys are happy, and like you even mentioned it. So my question is, since leaving, how has life been to you guys? What have you guys been doing? Did the church try to get a hold of you somehow, some way? Did they find a way, or did you completely block them out? And then also just what's been going on with you guys? How's everything?
Well, life is beautiful, going good. In my case, I guess I'm a person, if I'm not, uh, if I have something bad experience, then for some reason I'm kind of off-putting and don't want to associate anything more. That is the reason, I chose even to change my phone numbers and, move to a different place where I don't have to associate or see these people. But I'm okay now. I am okay to approach them and talk to them.
Yeah.
But Tara, I guess she's a bit different because When my parents were here, she even dropped my parents to the church in Cairns. I wouldn't be able to do that, you know.
Yeah.
Your life is doing great after
Yeah.
leaving the church, you know, although they say, you know, it's life gonna be, you know, not the way we wanted, as they say, it's gonna be,
Hell.
yeah, it's gonna be hell. But I also heard actually, even the members who are leaving from the church, and even if they do well, they still have the excuses for those members to say, well, now they are in the world. You know, the God of the world, Satan, is, you know, blessing them.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way to escape from, you
It's
know,
a
to stay from the
it's a
WMSCOG.
lose-lose situation. You
Yeah.
cannot do if you leave the World Mission Society for whatever reason, you could become a pastor, you could be the most humblest, person in the world, give all if you could become rich and donate all your money to the poor, they'll
Yeah.
still say that, you're being controlled by Satan and you're the
Mhm.
Antichrist, you're Judas Iscariot, Demas, don't follow the Nicolations. Like they have all these type of nicknames and
Yeah.
Whatever straws they can grasp, they'll grasp
exactly.
them.
There is
So
always something to say.
yeah,
So, since, you know, we came out of the church, we have, I guess, yes, much better job, better
yeah,
job as well.
Yeah.
And also because, especially, sometimes I'm like kind of a little bit upset and angry on myself. Why did I got into this cult, which not that I research or anything, but now with you know, on this healing journey, listening to all these stories from the ex-members, that's so much healing. You know, we also decided to, you know, to compromise our loss from last year, 2025, first time we did our international trip to Japan, which was really great. And also we do, you know, not boring, but as a normal human being, as a normal people, we also go breakfast or lunch or dinner dates here and there. So that is something we,
Swimming,
yeah, we
going to
do.
explore nature,
So
that's awesome.
everything is much better.
spend time
I
with
am
family.
less anxious.
Yeah,
So life is doing great after, you know, not being part of the WMSCOG.
I
Yeah,
love
it
to hear
really
that.
amazing. It's changed so much. And I mean, one thing that I will say, and I always say, like, not because of them, but in spite of them, I have very much become a much stronger and wiser person. I feel that, like I said, I was very naive when I first joined this group, and I have learned to be more astute and like to scrutinize things more carefully, and situations that I'm getting myself into, people that I'm coming into contact with. You know, I'm a lot more unfortunately, in some cases I might be too careful, or, you know, too afraid to have, you know, sort of contact or, you know, build relationships with people. I am certainly very kind of afraid, or I have like a bit of a trauma or trigger when it comes to dealing with any kind of controlling or controlled situation. I certainly struggle with certain expectations, even when it comes to my work. You know, there are certain standards that I have to follow because I'm a youth worker now, which I'd always wanted to do, but I couldn't do because the schedule would never work with Zion, with Church of God schedules. So Yeah, there are certain standards that I need to follow, but sometimes there are reflections of a high demand or a high control organization. And that's extremely, I fight it really hard when I come across it, which can make my life really difficult. I also have, um, I've been a lot healthier, as I mentioned, because I've managed my schedule so that my health condition is not exacerbated. However, I have an intense fear of exacerbating that health problem. So sometimes I am not able to do things that I want to do because of a fear that is probably too intense. It's probably not necessary for me to, not participate in certain activities or to push my body in a certain way. But because I am really quite fearful of exhaustion and I'm really fearful of just overexertion, I do miss out on some things. So I will say that life afterwards is very much it's a healing journey in the way that I know for myself, I'm very much still suffering and affected by the demands of this group. Other than that, life has been great. I mean, obviously, Jukti and I are very happy together. We have a great relationship where we were almost not allowed to have a relationship in the church. It's almost discouraged to
Brother
have
and
like a
sister.
personal connection, as a married couple. So that's been a lot easier, I think, actually. I think that when we would sort of, we're brother and sister, there's like this weird, distance between us. Whereas I feel like when we grew closer as a couple, we were able to be honest with each other and honest with ourselves about how we were feeling, not only about each other, but about life in general. And we could share things a lot more honestly and openly. I mean, financially, we're just so much better off. I mean,
no, 10%, of course.
10% is like
more.
30, 40, 50.
Yeah.
100%, sometimes of what you earn will go to the church. So no, I mean, we make choices about our future with our own critical thinking and our own reflection on based on our own needs, not based on the needs of the church. So I mean, it's completely changed our future and the future of people around us as well. I mean, I've been able to be a lot more involved with my family. Obviously, Jukti's family doesn't live in the area, but my family does, and we're quite close. I've been able to create or, mostly heal most of those connections. I helped my sister when she was pregnant with her child and, was there for her, looking after the baby, looking after her kids and all of that. So we have like a happy family life. So yes, life is great. Totally worth it.
That's amazing to hear. I love it. You guys seem so happy, genuinely, and you guys both seem like great people. So I'm very happy that you guys are doing so good. And it's a process. It is a process, even years after the fact, right? Like it's still gonna be a process. I left in 2021, and I'm still I'm doing a lot better. I'm doing great, but of course there's things that linger, like it will always be part of our life, but it doesn't define us, right? And so I think
Yeah,
that that's the most important thing, is that once you leave, you realize that it's only up from here, right? So like your every day just gets better and better and better. And so I think that that's something for, members, if you're watching this, I hope that it's something that you guys can take, hope in, is that things will get better, you know what I mean? And it's a process, it takes time, but it's definitely
yeah,
achievable. And trust me, one day out of the church, even if it's going through whatever you're going through, is a lot better than being in the church. And yeah, things just, family relationships, everything, like you guys just, hit it on the head with vacation, like just enjoying life, which it's so
yeah,
crazy to me, because we bring up all these things that you guys brought up, like swimming, spending time with your family, going on vacation, being better financially, all these different things, relaxing, just living life. And we talk about
Eating.
it like it's something so, like a delicacy, like it's so rare, when in reality that should have been, that's normal life. But to
yeah,
members that are in cults, these high demand groups, like we, these things were not, they were not allowed, and so when we finally get them back, it's really like we value them so much, because it was
Mm.
taken away from us. And like, so even
yeah,
these things that in the eyes of the people, that never been in a cult, they're like, oh, that's insignificant. To us, they're everything. They're small victories, you know what I mean? And so I love it. I love to hear you guys say that. So I guess in closing, I just want to ask you guys this, like, because I'm curious, like, how did you guys even hear of my channel? Because it's awesome to hear that, it's making an impact even in Australia. How did you guys even stumble across my channel?
I think that it might have just come up as like
mm,
maybe I was just searching like
yeah,
ex-member stories or something, because you know we both love to just listen to
mhm,
ex-members stories, because I guess it just gives us something to validate our own experiences, and to just help us to heal. I mean, it actually helps us to deconstruct, I think.
mhm,
That's certainly a way that has helped me to deconstruct in the beginning as well.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's how, like when I searched ex-member stories, maybe one of them came up. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I remember when I first found it, like maybe 4 months ago, maybe around then, 4 or 6 months ago or something. And I remember going, oh my God, there's a new channel. Like,
Yeah.
mhm.
And
I'm the same.
it's like, this is
yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, because even to say that you just found me through the algorithm in YouTube, that means
Yeah.
more people
Yeah,
are watching and it's getting out there. So, I'm like, I'm very thankful for that, because, this type of videos needs to get out there to, for
Yeah.
members of, everywhere, all around the world, because all around the world people are
yeah.
going, dealing with the WMSCOG. So it's very nice to hear that. So I guess in closing, I just want to ask you guys this question. Um, if, if and when current members watch your guys' video, what advice would you guys give them?
Mm.
You go first,
Oh,
honey.
that's a hard one. I love talking to current members. I love to be kind to them and to let them know that I am here for them if they ever need anything, whether it's related to the WMSCOG or not. Um, Life outside of this group is filled with honesty and truth and love and happiness and struggle and hard times, just like life is always going to have. And you will find it so much easier to deal with all of those things if you are not saddled with the expectations and demands of this group. And I would also very much like to say that the doctrines, the teachings, the stories, the legends, the dates, the times, all of these things are riddled with untruths. Of course, there is some glimmer of truth in many of these parts of this church, because if there wasn't, no one would follow it. But that is the only reason why there is any truth in there, because it serves the purpose of pulling people in so that we can be lied to and taken advantage of. You do not need to wait. You do not need to tell anyone. You don't need to tell anyone a reason. You don't even need to have a reason that you fully understand. If you want to leave this group, you have every right to leave, and God is not going to punish you. God is not going to hate you. God is not going to stop hearing your prayers. In fact, I would say that God is waiting for you to actually find them. And you're not going to find them in the World Mission Society Church of God.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what
Great advice. Great advice. Great advice.
Well, from me, well, a lot Tara has already said. Probably be true to yourself, and if you have any, doubts, that means your body is in tune with you. Listen to your intuition, and do research. Researching is not a sin. If they do research, the WMSCOG do research, that is okay. But if
Yeah.
the leadership research is okay, but if the members, that's not okay, kind of, that's not true. The World Mission Society Church of God, don't own you. So you are a person of your own. So once again, do research, do listen to yourself, and do look after yourself well, because, you know, apart from being the member of the WMSCOG and, maintaining all those regulations within the church, apart from that, giving offerings and tithes, apart from that, the WMSCOG cares nothing. They don't care anything about you. So you do need to, listen to yourself and look after yourself, and be a good human being. And also on the same point, what I have said, what Tara have said as an ex-member, it is not something we made up, or it is not something we just want to blame the church. It is something that we've been through, and it is valid, because it is valid. So the other thing I do want to mention is that, to the current members, and even, all the people watching this video or listening, the analogy the WMSCOG they use is like we are 100% truth. The analogy they use, even there is a 0.0% of poison, then you can't drink that water. It is, it will kill. But here, while saying that, while claiming we are 100% truth, what I have been through, what Tara has been through, or what Edgar has been through, and all the ex-member through the experience, it validates that, it is not 100% truth. In reality, WMSCOG is not 100% truth, because, there's so many things to say with the experience of ex-members and all those things that have come up, the lies and deceptions and all those things, so please, I would say the other thing, get your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so also I would say thank you, Edgar, for, giving us this platform to share our experience. So I hope through this video, people who knew me or Tara, mm, they know that the region we left, and also we wanted to share that, you know, the WMSCOG, as they claim truth, is not true.
Yeah.
It is a cult, the other word.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think that both of you guys made some really good points. And, most importantly, it's like everyone says, do your research. Do your research. The
Mm,
moment that you do your research, you're going to realize that this place falls like a deck of cards. And, to your guys' point, of course, there has to be a little bit of truth to their claims,
mm,
because if not, then nobody would just openly want to believe a lie. But again, a little bit of truth can be found in any deceitful organization, or even in any type of abusive relationship. There is always a little
mm,
bit of truth, but it's not about a little bit of truth. If you're claiming to be the 100% true church of God, then you cannot even have 1% of a lie. And this place has been lying
exactly.
from the beginning. And so I think
Mhm,
that, but with time, and more people coming out like yourselves, from different parts of the world, more people are sharing their stories. People are going to come out. People are going to see the inconsistencies. And so I hope that just like you guys, that members can see this and realize, like, just like you guys are living life now. You guys are doing great. And, the healing process has begun, and you guys look just fine. And that is the goal, right? We want members to see that there is a life after the WMSCOG. It is not what they tell you it's going to be, and so I'm just very grateful for you guys, to come on here and share your story with the world. You guys are very courageous, and I really appreciate, seeing from, the angle of Australia and then also Nepal. This is definitely one of my favorite videos. So I can't wait for this to air. And for all the audience, I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and as much as I did. And I hope that, all you guys that have been watching this content, that you continue to like, comment. Let's support the channel so we can get this content out to more people all around the world. Let's get some people from other countries that, we haven't
mhm.
heard from before. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because we wanna share that. I think it's important to highlight how it doesn't matter what part of the world you're in, all the stories are consistent all across the board. We all have such similar experiences, and I think that
Yeah.
speaks volumes to the type of character that the World Mission Society Church of God displays. And so, that being said, once again, thank you guys, everybody, for watching this episode. And until next time, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Defusing the WMSCOG.
Are the way, I'm only asking for guidance, so I am not led astray. Had some people in the church say they love me, then left me broken. Hypocrisy at its highest, by the fruit you will know them. I ain't saying that I'm perfect. I've had some people I've hurt, and some bridges that I left burning.